In just 4 seasons, Barcelona won 14 trophies, led by a manager who had never coached a first team before. But how on earth was this even possible? This is the story of how Pep's Barcelona quite literally broke European football.
And he make it 2. Leo Messi has made it 2-0 to Barcelona.
Cross, will it be 5? It will! National moment, a glorious triumph for Barcelona.
To understand how Barcelona conquered Europe, we have to start in the 07-08 season when Frank Rijkaard was the Barcelona manager. This was an off-season for Barcelona as they picked up no trophies, finishing 18 points off Real Madrid in the league, losing the Champions League in the semis to Manchester United, and getting knocked out early in the Copa del Rey. But despite finishing trophyless, Barcelona had incredible individual talents, playing amazing football, and Lionel Messi had his best individual season until that point. But the thing about Barca is that no matter how much they get, a trophyless season is not good enough, as the standards are nothing short of success. At this time, Real Madrid was looking scary, with the Galacticos project terrorizing Europe and leading them to 2 back-to-back La Liga titles, which fueled more anger amongst the Barcelona fanbase. The team was also in a transitional phase this season, with this being Deco and Ronaldinho's last season, and new players coming in like Dani Alves. It was also during this season that Pep Guardiola was placed in charge of the Barcelona B team, as he was still learning the art of coaching, having never coached a first team before. At the end of the 07-08 season, Frank Rijkaard was dismissed. As Barcelona felt the need for a new leader, it was announced that Pep Guardiola would be promoted to first team manager. And this was initially received with a lot of criticism, as he was a completely unproven coach. He was a great player and a Barcelona legend, but there were serious question marks over his managerial capabilities. But this was all just noise, and Pep was ready to prove everyone wrong. The 08-09 season saw the iconic Barcelona team take shape with Sergio Busquets, Piqué and Dani Alves signing, and Guardiola making the most shocking decision in football history. He sold Ballon d'Or Ronaldinho and Deco, Barcelona's biggest stars. The Tiki-Taka Barca was born, and now all the tools were in place for a great team. They just needed a manager to guide them, and they would soon realize that Pep Guardiola was exactly that man. He opened the league campaign with a 1-0 loss against Numancia and a 1-1 draw against Racing, but went on to win the next 9 in a row, scoring 35 and conceding 6. Messi was adapting to his new manager and terrorizing defences, and Guardiola was proving doubters wrong. Something incredible was clicking in this team, because by October they were playing the most beautiful football anyone had ever seen, with tiki-taka passing that made opponents dizzy, making for an amazing start to the league campaign. Barcelona went crazy for the first half of the season, scoring over 60 goals. Messi was adapting perfectly to his role, creating space for Eto'o, Henry, and the midfield Xavi and Iniesta found new passing lanes they never knew existed. In the Copa del Rey, Barcelona breezed through the early rounds with convincing victories showing their incredible depth. Looking at the Champions League, Barcelona stormed the group stage, winning 4 and drawing 1, with 2 of the games Barcelona scoring 5 goals. Messi averaged a goal per game, announcing himself on the European stage. As the year turned, Barcelona continued their perfect form, going on a 20-game unbeaten streak in all competitions, placing them top in the league and favourites for everything, placing incredible pressure on Pep's shoulders. But this is when Guardiola showed his tactical genius, making key rotations and keeping players fresh. Guardiola era was building momentum with every game, and the football world was starting to notice that this Barcelona team was different from anything anyone had seen before. One of the first things Pep did was introducing Pedro and Busquets into the starting lineup, as up until that season, they were playing in the B team. Giving La Masia graduates key roles and building a team with Barcelona DNA flowing through every player. Pep got through the entire season with just one La Liga defeat, finishing 9 points ahead of Real Madrid. But then came March, where they faced Lyon in the Champions League and struggled in the first leg, tying 1-1. But this is where something magical happened. From that moment, Barcelona went on to win every single crucial game, including a 6-2 thrashing of Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabeu, which announced them as Spain's new kings. This game was dramatic to say the least, with Messi and Henry scoring twice. Thanks to incredible team passing and Guardiola's tactics, they were able to dominate completely. By the time April came around, Barcelona had transformed football itself and were favourites to win La Liga. They became poetry in motion, beating every opponent with pure football artistry. But the league isn't the only place where the magic happened this season, because Barcelona were able to take home an even greater prize thanks to a historic Champions League campaign. They breezed past Lyon in the round of 16, winning the second leg 6-2, with Messi and Henry both scoring. But it's the quarterfinals where things really got magical. Barcelona played the first leg at home against Bayern Munich and won 4-0, and it's in these moments where the big players step up, and come the return fixture, the biggest player of them all was ready.
Eto'o, Messi! Well, bewildering movement, flag down, Eto'o, 2-0. Thierry Henry, wonderful burst of pace, and another goal! Messi was in there again! Football is brilliant. And here's Henry
Messi walked away with the match ball, and Barcelona went to tie the second leg and faced Chelsea in the semi-finals, where they played one of the most controversial games in the competition's history. A goalless first leg and a 1-1 draw in the second leg, with Iniesta scoring in the 93rd minute, would see Barcelona advance on away goals and land a spot in the final to face Manchester United at the Olympic Stadium in Rome. Pep Guardiola had come into the job just less than a year earlier and had already transformed football itself. Pep's men were now on the verge of glory, having the chance to become the first Spanish team to ever lift a treble. And the only thing in their way were the Red Devils, the current champions, with Cristiano Ronaldo, the current Ballon d'Or, on their team. Valdez in goal, Touré and Piqué creating a wall at the back, Puyol and Silvino bombing up and down on the flanks, a perfect balanced mix in midfield, with Busquets as the destroyer, Xavi as the deep line playmaker, and Iniesta as the box-to-box creative, and the front three with Messi, Henry and Eto'o. Pep had magic on his hands as they marched out for war, and a masterpiece is what they delivered. Eto'o gave Barcelona an early lead with a goal in the first 10 minutes, and after half-time, Xavi and Messi did this.
Onto the head of Messi! That should do it for the Blaugranas.
The game finished 2-0, and Barcelona had won their third Champions League trophy. Messi finished the tournament with 9 goals, and the season with 38 goals, which also landed him his first Ballon d'Or, and Pep Guardiola finished the first of 4 historic seasons in Barcelona. But he was only just getting started. Now entering his second season in charge, Pep Guardiola was still receiving criticism, and doubters were saying that the increased expectations would cause his team to crumble under pressure. But the opposite happened. Pep's men thrived. Ibrahimovic signed from Inter Milan, adding a different dimension to the attack, and Villa would join later as depth increased across the squad. This season, Pep started to perfect his system even further, with Messi showing insane Ballon d'Or skills. so there were more rotations and tactical variations. Barcelona started the season with a Spanish Super Cup victory against Athletic Bilbao and a UEFA Super Cup victory against Shakhtar, continuing their success. They carried on with this momentum leading into La Liga, winning the first 6 games and then getting their first Champions League group game win against Dinamo Kiev. In this time, they also lifted the Club World Cup by beating the Argentine team Estudiantes in the final. And with that, Barca had completed the incredible achievement of winning 6 trophies in a single calendar year, making Guardiola the first manager in history to accomplish this incredible feat. But even with all this success, this team would be put into question, just like it always happens at Barcelona. Come the 29th of November, they travelled to Real Madrid for El Clasico, and Messi showed up with one of his best ever performances against their rivals to defeat them 1-0. This Barcelona vs Real Madrid rivalry reached new heights in this period, with Pep's tactical superiority becoming evident. In the Champions League group stage, Pep's men won 3 but drew 2 and lost 1, meaning they topped the group. It took all the way until February for Barcelona to lose their first La Liga game of the season against Atletico Madrid, which ended their incredible 21-game unbeaten streak. Come the end of the season, they wouldn't be caring about individual defeats, as Barcelona entered the Champions League round of 16 and won both legs against Stuttgart comfortably, moving on to the quarter-finals where they would face Arsenal. Barcelona tied the first leg 2-2, with both goals coming from young Zlatan Ibrahimovic. But it was in the second leg where the magic happened. Barca were trailing 1-0, but scored 4 goals to win the game 4-1, with Messi scoring all 4 in a magical night, making it another quarter-final masterclass. They were now through to the semis to face their biggest test yet, Inter Milan and their defensive master, Jose Mourinho. The first leg in Milan would prove costly as Inter won 3-1. But it's in the return leg where all the drama occurred. Within 28 minutes of the match, Inter's Thiago Motta received a red card. And now, with 10 men playing away against Barca, it was looking like it was going to be a sure victory for Barcelona. But Jose Mourinho simply walked up to Pep and told him, "You think this is over? This is far from over." It was now a mind game and declared war. But despite a late goal from Piqué, Inter managed to hold on, and as the final whistle blew, Mourinho went sprinting down the touchline, finger in the air, flexing his spot in the Champions League final in front of Pep. This Champions League exit was absolutely devastating, a crushing blow that sent shockwaves through the Camp Nou, and in the aftermath, the vultures circled as critics came out of the woodwork, unleashing torrents of vicious commentary, branding Barcelona as bottlers, chokers, and pretenders, while the media machine went into overdrive screaming, "They're mentally weak," and "Same old Barcelona, always folding when it matters most," with every pundit, rival fan, and keyboard warrior declaring them finished, washed up, destined to collapse when the season reached its boiling point. But here's where the magic happened. Instead of buckling under the relentless avalanche of criticism, Barcelona rose like phoenixes from the ashes of doubt, channeling every insult, every sneer, every prediction of failure into pure, unstoppable determination. And they didn't just win La Liga, they dominated it, seizing the title by 3 points over their eternal rivals Real Madrid, finishing with record-breaking 99 points. Truly establishing themselves as Spain's undisputed kings, and silencing every critic who dared question their greatness, though even in triumph. With a Champions League dream still burning in his soul, Pep knew that changes were needed to complete their European destiny. Lionel Messi was the star man yet again this year, scoring 47 goals as he showed up whenever it mattered. Messi was named the Ballon d'Or for the second time in a row, as Barcelona cemented themselves as Spain's best team yet again. But this was not enough for this team, as they weren't ready to stop dominating football and building their legacy. So Pep's men were coming for another Champions League winning season, and they were going to prove the doubters wrong once again. Surely they can't win 2 Champions League in 3 seasons, right? The 2010-11 season began with Ibrahimovic leaving after just 1 season. Touré and Henry also made an exit, and they signed David Villa and Mascherano. As per usual, the season began with noise from people saying they can't have another trophy-winning season, but Pep's men had something different on their minds. They began the season winning the UEFA Super Cup and the Spanish Super Cup, but the real statement came early in La Liga as they thrashed their opponents with beautiful football week after week. But soon, they faced a concerning challenge, seeing their star player, Lionel Messi, sidelined with an ankle injury following a brutal tackle during the game against Atletico Madrid. Thankfully, it would only be for about 2 weeks. This Barcelona team was reaching perfection under Pep's guidance, and they began to break records left and right. Within just 3 months, they had won 20 consecutive matches in all competitions, setting new standards for consistency. The Champions League group stage saw them destroy every opponent, including a famous 5-1 victory over Panathinaikos, where Messi scored a hat-trick, but the real test would come in the knockout rounds. The round of 16 was a repeat, Arsenal again, and after losing the first leg 2-1 in London, all the critics were already saying that Barcelona would get knocked out again. But Barcelona reverted the score at home with a 3-1 win, with Messi, Xavi and Pedro scoring the goals. The quarter-finals saw them face Shakhtar, and they absolutely demolished them with a 6-1 win on aggregate. The semi-finals would bring the ultimate test, Real Madrid. This El Clasico semi-final became the most watched football match in history. The first leg at Real Madrid ended 2-0 to Barcelona. Messi scored both goals, and his second goal has gone down as one of the most iconic in the history of the Champions League.
But here's Messi, away from 2, 3, 4, wonderful, wonderful. How good is he?
The second leg ended with a tie at the Camp Nou, and Barcelona advanced as they reached their second Champions League final in 2 years, and this time against Manchester United, again at Wembley. During this time, Barcelona were also in the La Liga title race with Real Madrid. Their consistency was unmatched, and they claimed the league title for the 3rd time in a row with 96 points, finishing 4 points ahead of Mourinho's Madrid. Only losing 2 games all season. Talk about perfection. In the Champions League final at Wembley, Pep chose his trusted 11, and they delivered the greatest team performance in Champions League history. Pedro gave Barcelona the lead before Rooney equalised, but then Messi and Villa scored to seal a 3-1 victory and conclude their greatest ever season. Lionel Messi became the first footballer to score over 12 goals in a single UEFA Champions League. Messi was the star man yet again this year, scoring 53 goals in 55 games and winning his 3rd Ballon d'Or in a row, while Xavi finished 3rd, showing how this team combined individual brilliance with collective genius. Guardiola was named the world's best coach as Barcelona cemented themselves as the greatest team of all time. However, this is where Barcelona's dominance would sadly hit its peak, because heading into the 2011-2012 campaign, Jose Mourinho's Real Madrid squad was bouncing back, more powerful than ever in La Liga, and for the first time, things were beginning to spiral beyond Pep's control. Barcelona's 2011-2012 campaign delivered spectacular games, iconic achievements, and several challenging periods that made Pep Guardiola's last season managing Barca feel both triumphant and melancholic. The summer signings were relatively quiet, with just a handful of roster adjustments. He brought in Chilean forward Alexis Sanchez from Udinese for roughly 37 million, providing a massive upgrade to Pep's squad in his farewell campaign, and also secured Cesc Fabregas from Arsenal for approximately €40 million, which meant Barcelona officially assembled the most ridiculous midfield in history, with Fabregas, Iniesta, Xavi and Busquets all together in the lineup. Barcelona kicked off the campaign by meeting their bitter rivals Real Madrid in the Supercopa de España, resulting in a thrilling 2-2 stalemate at the Santiago Bernabéu, and just 3 days afterward, on August 17th, Barcelona stepped up their game and defeated Real Madrid 3-2 at Camp Nou, securing the Supercopa with a 5-4 combined score, and Messi stealing the show by netting twice, including the decisive goal. However, the fixture ended up getting extremely heated, particularly after Marcelo's challenge on Fabregas, which triggered a massive confrontation that resulted in several red cards being shown. But when all was said and done, this exhilarating triumph was simply one more victory on Pep's record against Mourinho's Real Madrid, establishing the momentum for a captivating campaign to come. Shortly thereafter, Barcelona then captured the UEFA Super Cup with a 2-0 triumph over Porto, securing Barca's 4th Super Cup and giving Fabregas his maiden goal in a Barcelona jersey. As the domestic season got underway, injuries started to devastate the squad as recently acquired Alexis Sanchez suffered a hamstring injury, keeping him out for weeks, while Iniesta was sidelined for a month with a femoral bicep injury. But regardless of this, Messi kept on dominating, because following 2 straight draws, Barcelona bounced back spectacularly with an 8-0 demolition of Osasuna featuring a Messi hat-trick. And on the 28th of September, Barca crushed Bate Borisov 5-0 in the Champions League, with Messi's double elevating him alongside Laszlo Kubala as Barcelona's second highest scorer ever with 194 goals. Fast forward to December, and we saw another electrifying Clásico as once more Pep's Barca prevailed 3-1 over Real Madrid at the Bernabéu. And before long, the Club World Cup in Japan delivered Barcelona additional hardware with a commanding 4-0 victory over Santos, where Messi's double, alongside goals from Xavi and Fabregas, helped the squad capture their 5th trophy of 2011. The new year started with Pep claiming FIFA Coach of the Year, alongside Messi securing his 3rd straight Ballon d'Or on January 9th. And shortly after, Barcelona knocked out Real Madrid in the Copa del Rey, with a 2-2 stalemate at the Camp Nou, progressing on aggregate and embarrassing Jose Mourinho once more. But this season, it was Jose who would ultimately have the final word. But more on that momentarily. As the campaign continued, Messi was breaking additional records, scoring 5 goals against Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League, becoming the inaugural player to accomplish such a performance in the tournament's history. Yet in the league, circumstances began to shift for the worse as a 2-2 stalemate with Villarreal left Barcelona 7 points trailing an impressive Real Madrid, with Jose reclaiming his rhythm. April proved to be a painful month for every Barca supporter as their squad reached their 5th straight Champions League semi-final, but were eventually knocked out by Chelsea, drawing 2-2 at the Camp Nou in a tense fixture. And to make matters worse, on the 27th of April, Guardiola revealed that he would resign at the season's conclusion. Just a few weeks following, Real Madrid were declared La Liga winners, ending Pep's domestic supremacy. But Barcelona had one final opportunity to claim silverware that campaign, which they actually managed, winning the Copa del Rey final 3-0 against Atletico Madrid. It was subsequently announced that Tito Vilanova would be the individual chosen to replace Pep as manager. But Guardiola certainly left enormous shoes to fill following an incredible 14 trophies in 4 seasons as Barcelona's boss. Pep departed Barcelona with a heavy heart, but despite the fact that saying farewell was difficult, Pep didn't ease up at all as he continued to accomplish remarkable things with Bayern Munich and Manchester City, collecting even more accolades and trophies to his collection and demonstrating repeatedly that he's among the greatest managers in football history. but those are tales for another time. So subscribe to ensure you don't miss them. And if you like this video, there are many others just like this in the channel, so go explore!